You spoke about the discipline that the FOI had, and one of the things it seems like in the history of Newark at the beginning in the 50s, it seemed like everybody, like you said, was somewhat fanatical about the teachings, and they were disciplined soldiers. But also it seems like around 60, everybody had left the scene or they went in. Would you care to speak on how uh, that all came about? What was the rationale or the extenuating circumstances around that for the city of Newark?
Newark was one of the first cities that began to understand that we was not going to get anything by working for the devil, working for the white man. Too long that we had a job, 400 more years of working for the white man. In the absence of national recognition of nationhood and the giving of us of recreation, recognizing us as a people, we realized that the only way we were going to have anything is to get it just like they got it from the Indians. As a result of that, many of us went to jail. But it was a good thing. Because in jail we were able to train even harder, study more, and come out teachers for the honorable life.
Speaking of that, could you go back to what you were saying earlier about when you were in the temple along with Brother Bel and that Minister James Shabazz came to set up the temple and to establish a minister here? He spoke of that Brother Belton said that he was going to stand up. Can you talk about that process and walk us through that in detail, how that all came about?
Brother Belton, he was in, well, actually, he and I was arrested for robbery and attempt murder. And my family was able to get me out on bail, but his family didn't get him out, so he remained in jail. While I was out on bail, the Honorable Mahummad made a sneak stop, an unannounced stop, for Temple 7. He was on his way to Mecca. He was going to make the pilgrimage. When we heard that he was in New York, brothers and sisters, we went to New York to see him. Now, in that lecture, one of the things that he said was he think it's time for Elijah to go back to prison and get some more good ministers. The next morning, they released Brother Bel from prison. When he came home, he called me and told me he had had a revelation. He said that that night he dreamed that he was a minister and that he was going into the prison to teach, and that all of the fellows who we grew up with in gangs was in the prison. And he saw himself raising them as an army to come out and fight for independence for our people. So I told the brother that we had just saw the Honorable Elijah Muhammad the night before, and one of the things that he had said was that he think it's time for Elijah to go back to prison and raise some more ministers. And that brother got so excited. I told him, go tell Mr. James. Go see Mr. James and tell him that you want to go into the prison. So he did. And Mr. James told him that the messenger told Minister James that the brother was going to come and ask to go into the prison. And he said that the messenger told me that when that happens, it comes straight out to Chicago. So he said, he told Brother Bel, I got to go to Chicago. I'll be back Monday. I'll see you at Fruit next Monday. But he didn't make it back Monday. He came back next Wednesday. And he told Brother Bel at that time, the messenger said, you are the official representative of the 25. So that's all that was.
Want to clear up something?
Yes, I would like to clear up, clear the air on the council. The council of Newark, those first brothers who begin to teach at Newark. We needed to be clear that those brothers did the first work. Those brothers in their dedication, if it don't be for them, there wouldn't be no Newark, the model March 25. Differences arose among the brothers. Over time, different things happened. Different people go in different directions. Basically, everyone is not the same today as they were back in the 50s or 60s. Now, what I'm trying to clear the air for is for folks to understand that regardless to what happens between then and now, the works of those brothers cannot be denied. We have to recognize the good works of those brothers. Whether they're still united or not, whether they're still living or dead, we have to give credit to where credit is due. And those first 12 brothers who made up the council taught Elijah's doctrine. Now, you were saying that you had heard about the history of Brother Bel when he went out to Chicago before the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to him. That's true. The brother had came into some money, and he wanted to go and give some of that money to the messenger. So he went to Chicago, but he was not allowed to have audience. He gave the money to one of the representatives, and he got on the phone and talked with him. And the messenger told him that he should leave the city right away because his life was in danger. So the brother came back to Newark. When he came back to Newark, he went to see the council, tell them how he went to Chicago and what happened. And the council immediately began to denounce him. They were saying that the brother was wrong. He was bringing the heat down on the city. He shouldn't have done what he did. And of course, the brother was upset. He was thinking about bowing out. He was going to leave the nation because he didn't understand why the council would be angry with him about fighting the devil. Before he could really make up his mind to bow out, he ran across one of the brothers who told him to come and see me. He explained to the brother that he was about to bow out. That brother encouraged him to come and see Brother Al. When he came to see me, he told me how the council had told him he had did a bad thing. And he wanted to know from me, he had one question, and that was whether or not he had did wrong with fighting the devil. That question had never been put to me before, but at that moment, the answer to the brother was, no, sir, brother, you can't do nothing wrong to the devil. And from that day on, whenever you see me, you saw that brother. Whenever you saw him, you saw me. He was considered, a lot of times we thought we looked alike and had pretty much the same stature and complexion. Folks thought we were brothers. They not only thought we were brothers, they thought we was twins. Many times folks would come and call me by his name and see him and call him by my name. That's how close we were. At that time, I was a lieutenant in FOI. The new young brothers that had came on the scene when he came on the scene, just about all of them were ex-military. Just got out of the military, like myself. So we really had a tight bond. And my whole idea in teaching was that our loyalty should be to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and that's all. We follow the orders of those who are in authority because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us to follow their orders. But we do not attach ourselves to those in authority. We are only attached to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because of that particular doctrine, my squad began to be singled out as the fanatics. Whenever that temple door opened, we was there. Whatever duties had to be done, we did it. We didn't question nothing that we were told. And that's one of the reasons why, when the order came that we had to be in Chicago for Savior's Day 1960, it was a matter of life and death. We did everything we could to go. But that's an interesting story.